Hi there, Maggie here with Zoweh Women's The Deepening community. This month, we get to talk about why traditions matter, what they bring up in us, how they ground us, and how they shift and change through our lives. I invite you to watch this video and we'll see you on the other side.
Tonight's Around the Table, we're excited to talk about traditions, why they matter, what they stir in us. But before we dive in, Robin, Dana, Maggie, how are you coming in tonight?
Well, like I was just sharing, I'm recovering. I'm coming in a little bit hoarse, but sounding a lot better than I was before. So I'm feeling like I'm coming back into the land of the living, and it feels good.
It's good to have you back. I've missed you.
Thank you. I've missed you too.
How about you, Dana?
I am coming in, honestly, I need a massage. I'm coming in overwhelmed and exhausted. I have a big 65th birthday party for my husband on Saturday that I'm getting ready for. And I have my in-laws moving from Arizona on Tuesday. They're moving in with us. So there's a lot going on. I had a stair chair installed today.
You go, girl.
I know. So I'm putting furniture together.
Wow.
You're doing it all.
Feels like it. I need a vacation.
Yeah, you need more than a massage. That's what I was going to say. Vacation would be nice.
Well, thanks for making time to be here tonight.
Glad to.
Yeah. How about you, Maggie? How are you coming in, friend?
Let's see. I need to unpin you guys so that you can see me. I am coming in a little scattered, actually. I just kind of feel like I'm in all different directions with my kids and just with life. So, but I'm very happy to be here with you all. And we would love to hear how each of you are coming in as we are getting started. So put that in the chat. And am I sounding like jumbled? Can you guys hear me? I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, good. So put in the chat how you're coming in tonight. And while you're doing that, I just want to let you know, we are going to be recording the first half of this. Just so we can share it on YouTube and social media, and that will be up hopefully tomorrow, but probably early next week. And then rename yourself so that we know where you are coming from. So to do that, you want to hover over your little 3 dots in the corner, right where it says mute next to that, and you'll have an option to rename there at the very bottom. So rename yourself and put the city and state where you're coming from so we can see that. And then I'm going to just be adding things into the chat and monitoring the chat. So we're so happy to have you guys here and so excited to talk about traditions. It's going to be a fun night.
Thanks, Maggie.
Yep.
I'm coming in filled with anticipation. I'm taking my husband away this weekend for his birthday, and so I'm excited about that. And just as we move towards all the things that taste and smell and feel like Christmas to me. And that had me thinking that just how significant anticipation is around traditions for me. I can remember as a young girl, just the anticipation of the goodness that only happened around Christmas. And as a military family, we didn't travel during Christmas. Wherever we were, that was home. And Advent calendars just felt different because nothing happened Christmas-wise in our house until Christmas Eve. There was not a shred of Christmas anywhere. That's when we baked cookies. That's when we all piled into the station wagon and went to not a tree farm, but a tree stand in the cold, in the snow, in the dark, under the stars, and picked out a Christmas tree, which you can only imagine what's left on December 24th. If you think about it, they were mostly Charlie Brown trees. Yeah. And so bringing that home, that ushered in Christmas. And the anticipation is Mom put the lights on the tree, and then we got to put the ornaments and the tinsel and baked cookies. That all to Bing Crosby, of course, right? White Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
That anticipation for that evening, to me, almost feels I don't know, that feels more deeply seated and more, that's where my memory is, even more than getting up Christmas morning and the delight that was there. It was that bringing in, that ushering in of Christmas, that just the glow of the tree, the tinsel sparkling was magical, just enchanting for my little girl heart. And I was journaling about that this morning. I was thinking, anticipation is like all over the Bible too. I mean, I think about all the different times that Jesus and different people in the Bible just said, look, how many times God says, look and watch and wait and hope for things to come. And I thought, oh my gosh, traditions are inviting that same thing. And so I'm wondering, Robin.
Words are hard. I'm telling you, I just sit next to me.
It's because I'm singing to you and because there's like a menopause warm coming over. My climate zone is changing here. I'm just wondering how anticipation of Christmas and traditions and all of that might be connected to belonging and our deep desire to belonging. What do you think? Is there a connection?
I think there is. I definitely think there is. I think that we long to belong. We long for meaningful connection. And really, I mean, we're made for it, right? And we look for it and we hope for it. And as children, we look and wait for those times where we're invited in and we're scooped up and grafted in. And so I think traditions can provide a thread through our stories that have the potential to offer a sense of belonging. Like, I have a place here. This feels familiar. This feels safe. That can offer a sense of comfort, a sort of grounding and like a tethering to home.
Yeah.
So, when I think of a tradition for me growing up, a Christmas tradition, I grew up in Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio, and our family of four, our little family of four, my sister and myself and mom and dad, we used to go every year to a Christmas tree farm called Timbuk. And it was a bit of a drive for us to leave the big city of Columbus to drive all the way out in the country to Timbuk. I guess, Timbuktu, I guess now. That makes sense. But I remember there was always snow on the ground there. And they would take you out, this truck, you would pile into this hay wagon. And a truck would take you out into the fields where there were Christmas live trees. And they would drop you off in the field. And we would walk around, the four of us, my dad with a saw. And we would trudge through the snow like Clark Griswold and Christmas Vacation, right? And we would pick the tree, find the perfect tree that we all loved but could fit in our little house. And my dad would saw it down. And so I have that memory, but the best was then being when that truck would come back, pick us up, take us back to the lodge, the warm lodge, where there was hot chocolate. And I just remember how it looked. I remember how it smelled. I remember how it felt. And the smell of pine takes me back there. Even hot chocolate. But it was such a sensory experience. Like what I saw and what I smelled and what I felt. And those things really help solidify, right, our memories and those traditions. So for me, this annual experience was really a way our family connected over something fun and meaningful. And it's where I felt a sense of belonging, a sense of comfort, being warmed by the fire and the cocoa, and a sense of grounding, like being out in nature together and trudging through the snow and the fresh air. And I remember laughing at my dad cutting the tree down and how wildly crazy and hard that was. And but it was just a sweet tradition that I remember with fondness.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you got to experience that with them and that it brings you back heart, mind, soul, and body. That there are things you can smell now, things that you can taste now that takes you back to that, that tethering.
Yeah.
And so how do you provide that for your girls? What does that look like now?
Yeah, when I was thinking about the traditions that kind of tether us to home now with our 3 daughters who are now grown daughters, they're all in their 20s. I again think of, it's tree related, but I think of decorating our tree. They love to decorate our tree. And it's always a tradition that we have and I'm sure everybody has this. It's not really unique to us, but we play the Christmas music, the Bing Crosby and all the things, and light a candle, usually a pine candle, and they all decorate the tree together. And one of the traditions that
Okay, wait.
Okay.
Fake or real? Because you said you lit a pine candle, and that just made me think, okay, wait a second.
We did real trees until the girls were really small, and we had so many littles and a dog that the girls and the dog, our lab, kept knocking the tree over, spilling the water out on the carpet, breaking the ornaments. And we're like, all right, it's plastic tree. So we went and we bought a plastic tree.
Okay.
Fake tree, whatever. But since then the girls have revolted and said, no, nothing but a real tree. So we've had real trees in the past, however many years since they've been grown. But good question. Fair question.
All right.
And so one of the traditions that my mom, so thinking of the girls decorating our tree, one of the traditions my mom started when my sister and I were tiny, she bought an ornament for us each year and put it in our stocking, our Christmas stockings. So every year we got an ornament and we would put it in our box at the end when we're packing up the ornaments. Then when we got married, or left home, she gave us our box of ornaments from all the years so that our new tree in our new place would not be empty and we would have memories of home. So I then started that same tradition with my girls the year they were born. So they all have theirs. And Ashley, now who is grown, I've given her ornaments. But the thing I do a little bit different is I always pick an ornament. I don't make them. I'm not that clever and creative, but Etsy does. And if I can't find it in a store or wherever, I go to Etsy and I pick an ornament for each child that represents something significant from that year. And put it in their stocking. So it's a little bit more significant and meaningful. So
that's fun.
And then lastly, my girls have said, we don't really have family traditions, Christmas traditions. And I have leaned heavily on my own mom's wonderful Christmas Eve and Christmas morning traditions. So only in recent years have I moved towards trying to kind of establish some new ones and do our own thing a little bit. So last year I bought the girls all matching Grinch flannel pajamas. Pottery Barn had these great pajamas. And so they all have matching. So last year was the first year they all wore those while they decorated the tree. And I love seeing their delight in opening. Seeing the ornaments and their own and putting them on the tree and either poking fun at them or finding them special or sweet. So those are some traditions for me that I have, for the girls now that some have carried over and some are new.
Yeah. How about you, Dana?
Well, I love how, Robin, as you're talking, it's experiences, they're gifts, but they're connected to an experience. So you're touching, there are things on the tree. And as I'm thinking about as a little girl, and even my kids would say, they don't remember the gifts as much as they remember the experiences that we would do together. And so for me, this year I think new traditions are coming because we just moved and I'm now in the same town with my son and my grandkids and my daughter-in-law, and my in-laws are moving in with us. And so we're going to have 4 generations under one roof, which is really precious to me. And I don't know how long that will be a thing, but my father-in-law is 97 and the youngest is 3. So this year,
it's quite the range.
I know.
That sounds like fun.
So my plans are, I have a 3-year-old and a 12-year-old grandson, and we're going to do decorating Christmas cookies is one of the things that they both want to do, and to just invite the grandparents and the dads and the great grands to be all in the same room together, and what conversations will we have and what laughter will we enjoy. And I think it will leave an indelible mark on all of us going forward. I just have a feeling that this year and whatever other opportunities we still have with my father-in-law and mother-in-law being here are going to be precious. Yeah. And it to me, this season, and I feel a sense of hope and I feel a sense of anticipation leading up to it all. And it actually makes me think of communion a little bit, another experience that we get to do, to remember and to hope and anticipate. You know, Christmas to me is linked to that. But anyway, and I know Maggie, I would love to hear what you're thinking with a recent move and traditions, and what does that look like for you?
Yeah, thank you. So we just moved from Seattle to North Carolina, and it's been really interesting this year for me to see how traditions bring a sense of familiarity. And since we have moved, I have just longed for familiarity. And in that, I mean, this is a silly example, but I think it connects to traditions. When we first moved here and everything felt new and like overstimulating, like even driving and going to different grocery stores and just longing for any familiarity. I went to Harris Teeter, which is a local Kroger store, and they have the same checkout, like self-checkout voice lady, like, you know, put your thing in the bag. And back home, I hated her and I would always like mute her. But when I heard her voice here, I literally wanted to hug the machine because I was like, oh, it feels like home. So that's not traditions, but it's the similar thing. And our family, we slowly would move our decorating through the years until like from the middle of December up into like right after Thanksgiving. And this year we moved it a full week earlier. And the reason there, I think, was just we all longed for familiarity of our Christmas decorations and the traditions that we have. And my kids and my husband love to get up on the roof and decorate and go crazy. We are the Griswold family. We used to have a 15-foot Christmas tree in our real Christmas tree each year that we would go out like you, Robin, and cut down. But this year we've gotten to shift our traditions and start a few new ones because one of my kids has had food intolerances forever. And that kiddo no longer has those intolerances. And so we have started baking. And that has been such a special drawing together. And Robin, when you were talking about your kids decorating the tree, all matching, there's something about traditions that can take a family that goes in 12 different directions. For you, it's kids that are living in different places even, and it draws us back together. And with 3 teenagers in our house, they do not get along much of the time. And so to decorate gingerbread houses together for the first time and to decorate Christmas cookies for the first time has just been really sweet and special in the midst of a Christmas that's totally different than anything we've ever done. And in a house, I mean, we lived in the same house for 18 years. So it's all very different for our kids, but that has been grounding and it has felt familiar and it's been sweet. So.
And I love seeing your mom's face as you're describing all of that. Just joy and delight on her face.
Well, and I like, because I've got this like on a small screen, I can't see her face. There she is.
I think she's crying.
She is.
Oh,
I see it now. I'm just like flipped through to see her.
That's such sweetness.
Yeah, because my mom knows how hard the food thing has been, and so that we got to do that was precious. So, whew. Anyway, Robin, you've had some transitions going on with your traditions as well. Do you want to share more about that?
Sure. Thanks for sharing that, Meg. I love that. Yeah, we had for such a long time, like I referred to earlier, done the Christmas Eve, Christmas morning, schlep all the girls and all our stuff to my mom and dad's in Greensboro, and done all that, which is great because they were memories, they were traditions. We loved it. And then I started hearing friends of mine say, it's so nice to wake up in our own beds on Christmas morning and have the kids, do the gifts and brunch. And I thought, wouldn't that be lovely? That sounds so wonderful. As if I couldn't change that, right? And so one year, my sister announces, we're going to stay in our house. We're going to wake up in our own house. We're going to do our gifts with our own family and have a little brunch. And then we're going to come over and meet you all later in the day. And I was like, you can do that. You can choose to do that. You can make your own. And so I was like, us too. And so we pivoted, and it felt so good. It's almost like being given permission to, you know what? I'm an adult. I'm a grown up, and I can make these decisions. I can make some decisions like these for our family. That was something that actually felt good for our family and felt healthier for our family. And I wasn't just doing it to go along with and to please everybody else, but it felt like an important shift, and it's been really good. So sometimes that shift, starting something new, giving way to letting some of the other older things go can be healthy.
Yeah.
Necessary.
And did everybody do okay? Was everybody okay with the shift?
I think they were, but I don't care.
Nobody died because of the shift. So that's
right.
It's just funny how tightly we hold on to some things because we don't know there's another way, or we don't think we'll survive the change because it would be so disruptive.
Disruptive is the word. Yes.
Yeah. That's interesting. And I think about, for us, we always woke up in our own beds. So that was only natural when we had Stephen. We woke up in our own beds, and then we would go and visit. So that's what we've done for most of our lifetimes. One of the traditions we started in our family, the three of us, we have a cute little family, is writing love letters to each other and then putting them in the tree on Christmas Eve. And so when Stephen was little, they were mostly airplanes, and then they turned into origami, and he would write one to his dad and to me, and I would write one to Stephen and to Scott, and Scott would write one to Stephen and to me. And it was sweet, those early ones from Stephen that are just, thank you, Mom, you let me wear your mittens, just whatever a 4 or 5 year old could write. And we've saved them all. So getting to go back and read through some of those have been incredibly precious too. And so we moved to Rougemont in 2017. And in 2018, Christmas time, Stephen he had just gotten back from his girlfriend. It was Christmas Eve, and it was close to midnight, which for anybody who knows me, I don't have much left at midnight. However, Christmas Eve for my 26-year-old, 25-year-old son, I had it in me, right? Because I'm a mom, and we mom up for those things. And that's when he was wrapping things. So I stayed up and I wrapped with him, and we're talking, and he's in tears because he's realizing he was moving out come January. He was moving to Philadelphia. And he was feeling the whole weight of, this is my last Christmas living at home. And he knew that something was going to change, that it would be different coming home for Christmas rather than living at home for Christmas, which gave us the opportunity to have so many great conversations about like you're saying, what does Christmas look like now? Like you're saying, Dana, with, a daughter-in-law, which will come along someday. I imagine he'll propose to his girlfriend and we'll have a daughter-in-law. So what does that look like? And, can we hold it all loosely? And can we welcome new traditions? And as we get to know his girlfriend, who hopefully someday he will marry, can we embrace her traditions? And what might that look like? Just the adjusting. It's a continuing adjusting. And so, as I'm listening to all of this too, I'm thinking just how traditions can be messy and how so close to the goodness that we've talked about are sometimes painful memories, like right next door. They're like right there. And we just didn't talk about them tonight, which is okay. But I think it's important to mention that and to acknowledge that those good traditions and those good memories, like I said, are right near those painful ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we happen to be talking about like fond memories, sweet traditions. And so anybody listening in might think, wow, you all have these perfect little sweet little families where you write love letters and have all these cute matching pajamas. But that's a tiny little slice.
Yeah, a glimpse.
Yeah.
And I think because we're talking about how it connects us and how it brings us together.
Yeah. There's goodness there.
We're not making space for the pain in these conversations, in this conversations, and that can be okay.
Right.
So,
but it's important to say, like you're saying.
Absolutely.
That
it's messy.
It can be messy.
And the negotiating can be messy. Like Stephen was saying when he was here for Thanksgiving, well, gosh, what are we going to do for Christmas? I want to be both places. I don't like that Autumn and I are in, he's home with us and she's home with her parents. They want to be together. So, feeling that tension of, well, what do you do? And so, just that could be for another conversation, or maybe you can just email us and we can talk about it that way. Because, sometimes you can't share everything in one place. But
funny, I was talking to some girlfriends over the past couple days who have daughter-in-laws and grandkids and live in different states, and there is pain. There is some pain with what you hope and what you expect and what's going to happen and how do you navigate that. And there's joy too. There's both. Yeah. So that's really good to mention.
Yeah. Important.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to add too, my mom had put it in the chat. I think it's important too to add just that when people have lost loved ones, because I think traditions bump up the pain of messy situations we're in, but I think they also highlight who's not there that Christmas. And we lost my dad a few years ago, and I can still see it on my mom's face as she was writing that. That I just think that's important to acknowledge too, just for all of us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
My father-in-law is losing his memory, so I don't know what it's going to be like what will he remember and what will be hard, as we navigate this time with him too. So it's going to be precious and it's going to be hard. Yeah.
And can we make space for all of it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And welcome some of the conversations maybe around loss and like Maggie and your family and Marcia. Some of the conversations, how it, rather than avoiding it or tiptoeing around it, what might it look like to courageously enter in and ask those questions? How is this for you? What do you miss? What do you most miss about Dad being?
Thank you for joining us for this month's Around the Table conversation. On January 12th at 8 p.m. next month, we will have our next one. And the topic is ending isolation. We're talking friendships, risk, vulnerability. It's going to be beautiful. If you have enjoyed this video, we invite you to subscribe to the Zoweh YouTube channel, save this video, and share it with your friends. See you next month.